I'm just thinking if I'm gonna have the blue ones or the golden ones. No, you know what? I'm gonna go with the blue ones. We're currently up north on the west coast in Sweden, as we usually are in the summer. Now we're gonna head out to Ramsö, which is a very nice place. It's idyllic, as they say. This is one of the places where one of my first vlogs started back in 2015, I think it was. Right now we're on Ramsö. I'm going to show you how it looks like. It looks like this. It's typical Swedish island. And today it's going to be a wedding for one of my girlfriend's friends. I was a little bit bigger back then than what I am right now, but we were guests at a wedding here on this very beach. But I didn't actually start my own channel or the main channel until 2017, I think it was, or 2018. But that vlog is from 2015. That's kind of wild. Do you remember the good old times when we were here?
Yeah, I remember. Barely, because my memory is very bad.
When we got Alexander, I was working 220% and Amanda was working 220% with a kid, and we had absolutely zero money. So no sleep, no economy, and stress. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Memory gone. How about now though?
Better.
Better when I'm working at home? Swedish West Coast at its peak right now. Really hoping that this weather is going to stick around, because we haven't had a lot of it so far during the summer. Holding my thumbs. Whenever I get here, I always get incredibly nostalgic about things, and I start thinking back of where all of this began and how I ended up where I am, and life in general. I think it's important to reflect on that. And a lot of times I think about my journey as the start when I started my main channel, like when I started the Peter Lindgren videographer and filmmaker channel. But that's a lie, because the journey that started was when I picked up the camera for the first time when I was doing bodybuilding. And this was back in 2014 when I wanted to start taking photos and learn how to do that myself. And ever since that point, I've been trying to learn how to optimize the way that I use stuff and use them in different ways. And I've been doing short films, I've been doing cinematics, I've been doing B-rolls, I've been doing tech videos, I've been doing vlogs, and there's so many different things. But one thing that I always come back to, and something that has been around, is the vlogs. I can't put my finger on it. You know by this point that I like the fact that we're documenting life, we're documenting as it happens. And I was actually looking back at some of my vlogs the other day when I showed you that Alexander was running over, like across the street, picking up the camera once again. That was like the first time he did that was 4 years ago. And when you think back at the last 4 years, you realize that it's all gone. Like it's been moving so freaking fast, and what have I done over these 4 years? I'm incredibly privileged to be in the position where I am and have been able to travel across the world to meet up with multiple different friends and creators and people that inspire me. But when I think back at it, all of those memories feels like dreams. And if I didn't have any footage or anything that would remind me that those things and those trips actually happened, probably wouldn't think that it actually happened. And I was actually going to do a Q&A and end this vlog, but I got a couple of other things planned before I can end this vlog. And one of them is going to be for me to go back home. I wish I could stay a little longer until next summer. So yeah. It always feels so good to get back home after a trip. But I do really miss the kids though. Unboxing time. I do think that some of these things I'm not allowed to show you just yet, but we're gonna have to see. Take a look at this knife though. Oh. 2 8-terabyte drives. I wonder why. Crap load of plastic. Yeah, I can't show. Oh, secret stuff, but there will be a video on the main channel about this sometime in the future. The Ridge key case. See, I've been wanting to have a new keychain for a while now because I've been using this, which is nice, but it also is a little bit floppy. I don't like that. So I think that this might just be this. Ooh. Even get a nice tool to open. I love the details. This is going to be much better than what I had previously and much more clean looking as well. A professional knife sharpener. See, whenever I unbox a lot of things here in the studio and I use my knives, they get incredibly dull. I have yet to find a sharpener that is easy to use and simple, but I was looking this up online. I really hope that it's going to turn the knife sharp again. We have a hub tactical clip and field notes. I'm gonna show you why in a future video. Like, I wish I could tell you more, but there's so much that I'm working on so that I can't share everything that I'm doing. Last box. The Nightcore EDC 37. The Nightcore EDC 25. Now these two flashlights is something I've been looking at for a very long time, and I'm gonna see if this can replace my current flashlight, which is a 12,000 lumen strong Nightcore flashlight that I've been using for the last 6 months, the TM12K. This is an incredibly powerful flashlight. I almost threw this away. This is a pen. Take a look at the size of that thing. The pen comes out, and then you take the lid, put it in the back. Now you might be wondering why I wanted to have a small pen just like this. Well, it's because I'm using this wallet, which is the Dango A10 Adapt. This pen is the perfect size to carry with you in the top compartment of the wallet. Gadgets, man. They're my favorite. There's gonna be an entire EDC video coming soon. Stay tuned. I don't know if you guys know, but I haven't used Instagram on my iPhone for the last 7 months. I only use it on my iPad. And I've been feeling that the browser-based version that I use on my iPhone is completely useless, which makes me use Instagram way less, which is great. So if you're just like me with scrolling too much on Instagram, I can highly recommend doing that. That's where you will be able to ask me questions for these Q&As. Let's go in here and see what we can say. I also want to make sure that this becomes a weekly habit of mine so that we can keep doing this every single week until the year is over. It is not a question, but I am hyped to see you do more vlogs. Thank you, Tamara. I appreciate that. As a creator, what do you think about the declining attention span and literacy crisis among the youth? I definitely think that it's a big issue, especially since I have a 6-year-old myself and I see how he is getting drawn into the iPad, video games, so on and so forth. But it's our responsibility as parents to not put iPads in front of their faces every single opportunity that we get. Why did you shift from Swedish to English in your videos? Well, the main reason was to become better at speaking English. And if I made my videos in English, that was a bonus because then I also became better at making videos at the same time as I was speaking English. Kind of like a win-win scenario where I practice, but it doesn't feel like practice. First, I'll say, nice place, turning out bia utefulla. How much land do you own there? I appreciate that. I'm trying to make my best, but we own approximately 1,100 square meters of land. I'm gonna put the conversions to acres right here. Have you ever thought that you have ADHD? I think I do see a lot of similarities in you and me. I've been thinking about this a whole lot, especially in later years where I have a very hard time to focus on one thing that needs to be done and then pushes that into oblivion before it actually needs to be done, and then I do it. I've never really had an issue with it, and I don't feel like I want to get diagnosed for the sake of it, because this is not something that I feel is a limitation to me in my day-to-day life. So I don't understand why I would go and check something that I don't feel is stopping me from achieving things that I want to achieve. Is there ever going to be a TriCharge version 2? What is your next big thing? This or next year? It's very hard to estimate what the next big thing is going to be, and that is why I can't tell you what the next big thing is going to be. But I really hope it's going to be a fun thing and something that inspires you to create stuff without it being too expensive or too complicated. How do you stay consistent in a world that changes so much so fast? Something that drives me to always make something is simply that I have the possibility to create something. And when you start to think about it, that in and by itself should be enough for you to stay consistent in the things that you do. Have I skinny dipped in the pool yet? Oh, you bet! What is your 5-year plan? What is your dreams and also the biggest lessons that you've learned so far? Like, this is a lot of great questions. I really appreciate that it wasn't just yes or no questions. My 5-year plan is to build a business that is sustainable, something that I don't need to be a part of, or my face to be a part of, in order for it to work. I have a couple of ideas that I want to elaborate on when it comes to the business aspect, and most of it is probably going to be to create products that I think is interesting for me and myself that can benefit you in one way or another. And I think that the biggest lesson that I've learned in life is that things will be solved. Like, there will be a solution to everything as long as you actually work to find the solution for it. Hi Peter, I love your videos. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna try my best. How long do you think that you'll continue doing YouTube videos? Do you think that you can get too old? It all depends on what kind of YouTube videos it is that you do. For example, if someone that is 55 or 60 sits down and makes a whiskey video, I wouldn't feel like that guy's too old to talk about that. But if someone that was 20 years old sat down and did the same thing, I would definitely feel that that person was too young to do that. So depending on where you are at the spectrum, I don't think you can get too old or too young to be doing YouTube. Of course, kids are not going to be on YouTube. Yes, you can be too young, but not too old. The best wireless microphone that you've used for video. DJI Mic 2. Do you find it easier or harder to be working from home, and why? I actually find it a little bit of both. It's not so much that it's harder to work, but it's more so that it's easier to get interrupted, if that makes sense. Being in a position that I am right now and have this close to my job and then be able to walk into my family and just hug them is something that I wouldn't trade for the world. I love that. But it also takes away a little bit of the focus that I had when I was working in the other studio. And by going somewhere, you are immediately inclined to be doing something with the purpose that you went there for. Interested in slow motion and water? What camera lens and lights do you recommend a beginner? My dude, it's gonna be either camera, either lights that you can find. Just start playing around with things and you're gonna realize that if you're interested in slow motion, you're in for a wild ride when it comes to pricing on cameras. Are you going to enter the Home Assistant Dark Force? No. I will not. I just enjoy when things actually work as intended. I don't want to code anything to be able to run my house. I don't know. It doesn't interest me. Sorry.